A bromance forged in Iron Trump and Bukele's authoritarian embrace. America, land of the free, home of the brave, and apparently, BFFs with dictators. That's right, folks. Donald Trump, a man who once declared he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose voters, has found a kindred spirit in El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele. This isn't your typical diplomatic friendship. It's a full-blown bromance, forged in the fires of their shared love for strongman tactics. Think iron-fisted rule, a healthy disregard for pesky things like due process, and a whole lot of mutual back-scratching. Buckle up, America, because this unlikely duo is taking us on a wild ride, and the destination might just be the dismantling of democracy as we know it. We're talking about a level of admiration that goes beyond mere political expediency. This is about two leaders who see in each other a reflection of their own authoritarian desires, a validation of their belief that might makes right. And the implications for America, for the very fabric of our democracy, are deeply, deeply troubling. Let's get one thing straight. Nayib Bukele is no poster boy for democracy. He's the guy who literally called himself the world's coolest dictator. And no, that's not hyperbole, he actually said that. Underneath the carefully curated social media persona and the Bitcoin obsession lies a leader who has systematically dismantled El Salvador's democratic institutions. We're talking about removing judges who disagree with him, intimidating journalists into silence, and locking up anyone who dares to question his authority. This is a guy who stages elaborate photo ops of heavily armed soldiers raiding prisons, all to project an image of strength and control. But behind the carefully crafted facade is a brutal reality. A country where dissent is silenced and human rights are trampled under the boot of authoritarianism. And you know what's even more disturbing? Trump eats it up. He looks at Bukele, this self-proclaimed dictator, with open admiration, seeing not a cautionary tale, but a role model. Trump's love affair with strongmen is nothing new. From Putin to Duterte, he's always had a soft spot for leaders who rule with an iron fist. But there's something particularly concerning about his admiration for Bukele. Maybe it's the shared disregard for the rule of law or the mutual appreciation for a good old-fashioned power grab. Whatever it is, Trump sees in Bukele a kindred spirit, someone who understands the intoxicating allure of unchecked power. And let's not forget, this is the same Donald Trump who once mused about wanting to be president for life, who routinely attacks the free press, and who has openly praised China's brutal crackdown on pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong. This isn't just about one dictator in a small Central American country, it's about what Trump's embrace of Bukele says about his own authoritarian impulses, about his willingness to erode democratic norms in pursuit of his own power. Enter Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Salvadoran man living in Maryland who found himself caught in the crosshairs of this dangerous bromance. Despite a U.S. judge's order protecting him from deportation, Abrego Garcia was shipped back to El Salvador, a country he barely knew, in a move even the Trump administration later admitted was an error. But here's the kicker. Even after the Supreme Court upheld the order for Abrego Garcia's return, Bukele refused to release him. And Trump, instead of condemning this blatant disregard for the law, did something truly shocking. He sided with Bukele. Think about that for a second. The President of the United States, the supposed leader of the free world, chose to stand with a dictator who was openly defying a U.S. court order, all to avoid admitting a mistake. The Abrego Garcia case isn't just a bureaucratic blunder, it's a chilling example of how far Trump is willing to go to appease his authoritarian buddies, even if it means trampling on the rights of individuals and undermining the very foundations of American justice. Section 5. Defying the courts, Trump's legal shell game. Trump's deference to Bukele in the Abrego Garcia case is more than just a diplomatic faux pas, it's a calculated legal maneuver. By claiming that Bukele's refusal to release Abrego Garcia ties his hands, Trump is essentially using a dictator as a shield to deflect responsibility and defy U.S. court orders. This is a dangerous precedent, one that strikes at the very heart of America's system of checks and balances. If a president can simply outsource his legal obligations to a foreign dictator, then what's to stop him from ignoring any court ruling he doesn't like? This isn't just legal hair-splitting, it's about the erosion of the rule of law, the very foundation of our democracy. And the fact that Trump is doing it with a smirk and a wink to a dictator like Bukele should send chills down the spine of every American who values freedom and justice. Section 6. Mass deportations and a chilling proposition, American prisoners in Salvadoran jails. But wait, it gets worse. Emboldened by Bukele's willingness to play ball, Trump has gone full steam ahead with his anti-immigrant agenda, deporting hundreds of people to El Salvador, many without due process. And if that wasn't bad enough, he's even floated the idea of sending American citizens to serve their sentences in Salvadoran prisons. That's right, you heard that correctly. The President of the United States wants to ship American citizens off to a country with a notoriously brutal penal system, all in the name of, well, who knows what. This isn't just morally repugnant, it's likely illegal, a blatant violation of the constitutional rights of American citizens. But when has that ever stopped Trump before? He sees a kindred spirit in Bukele, a fellow traveler on the road to authoritarianism, and he's willing to throw the rule of law and the rights of American citizens under the bus to solidify that bond. Section 7. Echoes of propaganda, Trump's praise for Bukele's brutal spectacle. One of the most disturbing aspects of the Trump-Bukele bromance is Trump's open admiration for Bukele's use of propaganda and violence. Remember those carefully staged photos of Salvadoran soldiers raiding prisons? The ones designed to project an image of strength and ruthlessness? Yeah, Trump loves those. He even compared them to Cecil B. DeMille films, praising their cinematic quality. This is not normal behavior for a US president. It's the kind of thing you'd expect from an authoritarian leader who sees the media as an enemy to be silenced, and violence as a legitimate tool of political control. The fact that Trump sees something to admire in Bukele's brutal tactics should give us all pause. It's a stark reminder that his own authoritarian impulses are never far from the surface, and that he's not above using fear and intimidation to achieve his goals. Section 8. A broader pattern, Trump's authoritarian playbook. The Trump-Bukele bromance is not an isolated incident, it's part of a larger pattern of behavior, a playbook that Trump has used time and time again to consolidate his power and undermine democratic institutions. From his attacks on the free press to his attempts to discredit the judiciary, Trump has consistently shown disdain for the checks and balances that are essential to a functioning democracy. He views any institution or individual that dares to question his authority as an enemy to be crushed. And let's not forget his open admiration for other authoritarian leaders like Vladimir Putin and Rodrigo Duterte. Trump sees these men not as cautionary tales but as role models, leaders who understand the intoxicating allure of unchecked power. The implications for American democracy are clear. If Trump is allowed to continue down this path, he will leave behind a country where the rule of law is a distant memory, and where dissent is silenced with the iron fist of authoritarianism. Section 9. Conclusion: a dangerous alliance threatening the rule of law. The bromance between Donald Trump and Nayib Bukele is more than just a political oddity. It's a dangerous liaison that threatens the very core of American democracy. Trump's willingness to embrace Bukele's authoritarian tactics, to defy US courts and to potentially ship American citizens off to Salvadoran prisons should send chills down the spine of every American who values freedom and justice. This is not a drill, folks. This is a five-alarm fire, a clear and present danger to the very fabric of our nation. We cannot stand idly by while Trump and his dictator buddies dismantle our democracy piece by piece. The time to act is now, before it's too late. We must hold Trump accountable for his actions, defend our democratic institutions, and send a clear message that America will not tolerate authoritarianism, no matter how cool the dictator may seem.